Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have a brand new dessert recipe for you guys, and this one is perfect for cherry season. I'm going to be making my chocolate cherry mousse cake, and you are going to love everything about this incredible cake. It's just so light and fluffy, chocolatey and fruity. I'm going to be adding some fresh cherries on the inside. For today's recipe, I'm going to be using two of my recipes from my Back to Cake Basics series. So I prepared my chocolate sponge cake using two 8-inch cake pans. I've let these cake layers cool completely. I've also prepared a batch of my vanilla pastry cream, and this is going to be the base for our chocolate mousse. Super easy recipe. I'll have both of these recipes linked down in the video description box below so you guys could check out those videos. Meanwhile, let's get started and put together this incredible cherry cake. And before I get started on the chocolate mousse and putting together the cake, I'm going to prepare my cherries. So I have about 2 cups of fresh cherries that I've pitted and quartered into smaller bite-sized pieces. I'm going to grab some cherry liqueur and I'm going to pour it right over the cherries. You can add anywhere from half a cup to 1 cup, and you just want this to stand for about 30 to 45 minutes so those cherries get extra boozy. And if you want to make this recipe non-alcoholic, you can replace the cherry liqueur with grape or apple juice. All right, so I'm going to set aside these cherries for now, and I'm going to switch gears and move on to my chocolate mousse. So I have my vanilla pastry cream all cooled and ready to go. I actually prepared this last night, just let it cool in the refrigerator, and now I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of melted semi-sweet chocolate chips. I just melted these in the microwave, and I'm going to pour them into the cream. And then grab the whisk and stir that chocolate into the pastry cream until you have a nice and uniform mixture. I have my chocolate custard all done. I'm going to set this aside for now, and I'm going to make my whipped cream next. So we're going to combine the whipped cream with the chocolate custard to make this really light and fluffy chocolate mousse. Into my mixer bowl, I'm going to pour in 3 cups of chilled heavy cream. Pour that right in and make sure it's really nice and cold so that it whisks up nicely. To that cream, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And this one is optional, but I'm also going to add in a teaspoon of coffee extract, and it's really going to help intensify that chocolate flavor and add something a little extra and something delicious. And I'm also going to be adding 1.5 cups of confectioner's sugar. And then I'm going to mix this all together, first on low speed for about 30 seconds, and then I'll turn it up to high speed and whisk for about 3 to 4 minutes until my whipped cream has stiff and fluffy peaks. And check out how light and fluffy this whipped cream is. It's going to make the most incredible chocolate mousse. Now, before I move on to my next step to add the gelatin, I'm going to reserve about 1.5 cups of this whipped cream frosting for the top, because I want to garnish the top with some dollops after the cake is all set. So I'm going to reserve that right now so I don't have to make another batch of whipped cream. And I'm going to set this whipped cream into the refrigerator so it doesn't melt while I'm preparing the rest of my cake. And now let's move on to the gelatin, and this is what's going to help set the chocolate mousse. I have 1 tablespoon of unflavored gelatin, and to that I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of water. You want to mix this together really well, and I'm going to take this over to the microwave and heat it in 10 to 15 second intervals for about a minute until that gelatin is completely dissolved. I have my piping hot gelatin. I took it straight out of the microwave. You don't want this to cool. You want to pour it in here while it's still hot. I'm going to turn on my mixer and pour it in a slow stream. And now let's bring the whipped cream and the chocolate custard together. So my whipped cream is all done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of this chocolate custard at a time. I'm going to add about 1/3 of it into here at first. I'm going to grab my spatula and very gently fold those two together. So you want to make sure that that whipped cream stays as light and fluffy as possible. And before I start putting together the chocolate cherry mousse cake, I'm going to split my chocolate cake layers. So I baked these yesterday and I let them cool overnight. I'm going to grab a long serrated knife and split them in half. And again, I'm using my chocolate sponge cake recipe, and I prepared it in 2 8-inch cake pans. And now let's assemble this cake. So I have my chocolate mousse all ready to go. I've split my chocolate cake layers in half. My cherries have soaked in this liqueur for about 45 minutes now, and I've also prepared my pan. So I'm going to be assembling the cake into an 8-inch springform pan. I'm using the same size pan as my cake layers. And because this cake is going to be a little bit taller than the pan, I've lined the inside with a plastic cake collar. I'm going to leave an affiliate link down in the video description box below for this product, but it's really great for mousse cakes and no bake desserts because it just gives you a really nice smooth finish on the outside of the cake. And now let's get this going. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop one of my chocolate cake layers into the bottom of the pan. Do this very nicely and gently. And then we're going to start by adding our cherries. And I'm going to grab a spoon and just gently spoon in about 1/3 of the quartered cherries. And as you're spooning in the cherries, try to get some of that liqueur as well. So the cherry liqueur is going to help soften the cake, adds lots and lots of moisture, and of course, some incredible cherry flavor. And now I'm ready to add in my chocolate mousse. So I'm going to add about 1/3 of the chocolate mousse over the cherries. You want to make sure that it's spread evenly to the edges. And I'm going to top that off with my next chocolate cake layer. And I'm going to repeat this process again for the next 2 layers. Add in my cherries and my cherry liqueur. And my chocolate cherry mousse cake is ready to go into the refrigerator. It needs to chill in the fridge for a minimum of 4 to 6 hours, but it's best really if you leave it in there overnight just so the mousse and the cake layers can really come together. Now today I'm not going to be topping it off with the final chocolate cake layer, but feel free to do that. What I recommend doing before you invert it onto the cake is to soak it with some cherry liqueur to add even more cherry flavor. And I'll come back to show you how to garnish this cake and serve it. And I just took my chocolate cherry mousse cake out of the refrigerator. I'm going to remove the springform pan, but before I remove the plastic, I'm actually going to transfer it onto my cake stand here. I'm just gonna grab a little cake spatula and gently slide it underneath. And now we're ready to garnish the cake, so I'm going to grab that reserve whipped cream that I placed into the refrigerator earlier, and today I'm using a Taco tip number 823. I'm going to add little dollops around the edge of the cake, and the cake will be ready to be enjoyed. And now let's cut into the stunning cake to see what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to be using a serrated knife today. And check that out. How gorgeous is that? We got huge layers of chocolate mousse, the chocolate cake, and those cherries. It's going to taste incredible. And that's it, guys, for my chocolate cherry mousse cake. I absolutely love how it turned out. It looks so, so stunning. It's still a little bit soft, so after this video, I'm gonna rush it back to the refrigerator, let it chill for a couple more hours. For the full recipe, head on down into that video description box. I'll have a link that'll take you over to my website where you can print this recipe off and share it with your family and friends. I'm also going to leave the video links down there for my chocolate sponge cake and the vanilla pastry cream. And now time to dig in and enjoy. This looks so, so delicious. I've been just anticipating and waiting to dig in and enjoy. Looks so good. try to get a little bit of the cherry as well. Look how light and fluffy this is. This looks incredible. Guys, this chocolate cherry mousse cake is simply divine. It's just so light and fluffy and creamy and chocolatey and rich. It is everything you could possibly want out of a cake. Plus it has cherries, plus cherry liqueur. You guys cannot ask for a better cake. Absolutely delicious. I love the cherries in there. Next time I probably add even more because I want to have a lot of that fruitiness in there. But that chocolate mousse is so light and creamy. You guys are going to love this cake. Again, don't forget to head on down in that video description box for the link. I hope you guys enjoy this cake. This would be perfect for like a summer birthday party or some kind of celebration. This is it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video recipe, and I'll see you next time with a new recipe.